to another episode of Shit Hotels of Australia. This week I'm in the town of Yamba in the Clarence River region, northern New South Wales. A town that I've seen described as the #1 town in Australia. And seeing as #1 is very close to #2, and #2 being a euphemism for you know what, we'll spend this 5 days checking out whether this town actually is the #1 town, and if so, on what actual classification. We'll also be checking out my accommodation as usual and rating it against the pirate score. This week I'll be staying in the Cove apartments in Yamba. First time I've stayed here, so let's check it out and see what it's like. Well, it took about 3 goes to get that gate to open, but finally we get access to the car park. E2B, 14A, 23A, 3B, 3A, looking for 13B. So 13B is logically located next to 20B and 9 and nowhere near 13A. But anyway, here we go. Okay, here it is, room 13B at the Cove. What do we have? We have queen bed, single bed, we have a little dining table, easy chair, modem that augurs well, and fridge, microwave, glasses, kettle, cutlery, bowls, mugs, plates, and tea towels, etc. And bathroom, we have toilet, shower, quite compact, basin, hairdryer, and toiletries, and a bit of art. And what we don't have is a noisy fan. In here, in the cupboard, we have shelves, ironing board, spare blankets and pillows. Now, I must confess, I actually checked into the Cove last night at about 7:30 PM. It was dark. I'd been travelling since 8 o'clock in the morning from Hobart. A flight from Hobart to Sydney, which was delayed. Flight from Sydney to Brisbane, which was delayed. Then pick up the hire car and drive 3 and a bit hours down here to Yamba. So wasn't really, well, so let's just say making a Shit Hotels of Australia video wasn't the top of my priorities last night. It was more like getting some food, having a nice glass of red, and getting a hopefully good night's sleep. So I will confess that the state of the bed is because I've made it up here this morning. It wasn't like this when I walked in. And now for the shit hotels of Australia instant coffee test. You're getting sick of this, aren't you? So am I. Okay, so instant coffee today is espresso. I reckon it's specifically espresso. But I'm not going to drink this. Not because I don't drink instant coffee, but because we have a coffee machine. The first time on Shit Hotels of Australia. No, second time we have coffee, but this time I get a chance to use it. Houston, we have liftoff. How about that? Finally I get a chance to drink coffee worth drinking. Cheers. Now that's good. But wait, I forgot to do the tea test. And wait for this. I specifically asked for espresso tea. I mean, really. It seems that Yamba's been rated Australia's #1 town since as long ago as 2009. And if the Australian Traveller rating chart is to be believed, where Ely Beach is number 34, then I can say that Yamba is probably 34 times better than Ely Beach. So what does it take to be the #1 town in Australia? Is it the facilities? Is it the services? Is it the vibe? Is it just, well, who knows? I mean, I come from the town that I would consider to be my #1 town. It's quiet, it's got shops, it's got facilities, it's got great beaches, it's got a few tourists, but not many. And it doesn't even appear on the top 100 list. Maybe that's because nobody knows about it, or maybe it's because it's no good. I don't know, so maybe let's do a little bit of a comparison between my little town of Dover and the #1 town of Yamba. Yamba has a golf club, and a bowling club, or bolo to use the Australian vernacular, and a yacht club, but it's not quite as salubrious as the golf club or the bolo, and certainly not as good as the new Port Esperance Sailing Club in my hometown of Dover, which thanks to someone burning it down, at least we were able to rebuild it, unlike the pub. There's also a seafood festival, and I'm in luck. I will be here on Friday night. I won't be here on Saturday. I'll be heading back up north to Brisbane, but I might just check this out, see what it's like. I love a good seafood festival. Spent the day the other week at Dover Sea Fest. Which was brilliant, catching up with a lot of people. I had meaningful conversations with 22 different people in the 2 hours that I was there. I did a count because I don't have meaningful conversations with anybody in Ely Beach and Canberra. And now for the Shit Hotels of Australia fridge noise test. And this is the fridge here. And the fridge itself is quite quiet, except for this clicking noise, which was quite... Now that would give the story away. Let's just have a look at this a little bit further. First, see how the fridge wedges up against the bed. Access is not great. And here we can hear the noise of the fridge a little bit more carefully. So that noise happens every time the fridge motor kicks in, and unfortunately with this fridge you can't turn it off. So I will give it away. I had to sleep with earplugs in last night because you can see that this fridge is right next to the bed, and that constant crackling, clicking noise really gave me the irrits. But I think I've got a solution. I'm going to defrost the fridge and see if we can chip off this ice, which is what we seem to be making the cracking noise. So we'll see tomorrow. We might have a different assessment. And if we pull back the blinds, you see that we've got a little veranda. And the veranda looks out over the pool. I must admit, it looks pretty nice. And the gardens are quite picturesque as well. On the other side of the apartments is the seaside. Unfortunately, I didn't get an apartment on that side, but never mind. This looks quite nice. So now let's check out the TV and Wi-Fi. And all I can say is the Wi-Fi works really fast. I don't need to demonstrate by logging into Netflix. I watched the Portuguese MotoGP on KO last night, and it streamed absolutely perfect quality. And I've worked on my work computer all day today, downloading Teams meetings, and no problem whatsoever with Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is excellent. So let's check out the TV. And what do we see here? Okay, we've got a smart TV that's actually smart. Welcome to Cove, better known as Mission Beach. So that's one up for many of the places. We've got a smart TV, but wait, there's more. So not only do we have YouTube, we've also got Disney Plus, we've got Prime Video, we've got Stan, we've got KO, we've got Deezer. And without going through all the others, we've also got NBA, we've got ABC iView, we've got Kids, we've got Netflix, we've got Vita, and we've got Pleek, whatever that is. And all of those actually work. So that is a huge plus for the Cove. In addition to that, we've got all the free-to-air channels. And let's see if we've got the, I don't need it anymore, I've got KO, so I can watch the Big Bash if I needed to. But let's just see if we would be able to watch Big Bash on free-to-air if we didn't have a KO account. 7 Bravo, or actually, okay, the only downside would be we don't have all the Channel 7 channels. So if I didn't have a KO account, I'd have trouble watching the Big Bash. But hey, if you didn't have a KO account, you could sign up for the free trial. So yeah, top effort, the Cove. I guess you could say that Yamba has the feel of sort of like a poor man's Byron Bay. And I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that as a compliment, because all strength to the poor man, and Byron Bay with its $1 million plus beach houses, it's just, yeah, it doesn't have the feel. There doesn't seem to be any pretentiousness here in Yamba, which I think is a great thing. And it's got a lighthouse and some pretty specky views. Just that feel of calmness. Certainly doesn't feel like Airlie Beach. Well, after a bit of furniture removal, I managed to get the fridge out and turn it off, and now we'll defrost it and see whether we can get rid of that noise. Never had to do furniture removal in a hotel room before. Well, first time for everything. So it is the little things that give you the irrits. So I've been travelling now for 8 or 9 days, and whilst I was home in my little shack in Tasmania, I was able to do a little bit of washing, some of the essentials like jocks and socks, and those things which would dry quickly, because being autumn in Tasmania is not exactly the best drying time. It's very still and it's reasonably cold. So I didn't take the risk with some of the others in terms of being able to get them dry before I had to get on a plane. So I've got a few things that I need to wash. So I looked in this room, no laundry facilities in this room. So I looked all over the complex, couldn't find any laundry facilities. So I went to the to reception, and the pleasant but let's say slightly disinterested person at reception, when I asked did they have laundry facilities, she went, no, there's a laundromat up in the town. Right, okay. And then she said, oh, but the A rooms all have laundry facilities, so do you know anyone living in one of the A rooms? I mean, this is the 3rd time I've been in Yamba and the 1st time I've stayed at the Cove. So how likely is it that I would know someone who lived in one of the A units? I mean, come on.
I thought that was like, that's the new one. Sorry.
Yep, this career fraudster was released from home detention after serving just 18 months of his sentence. Released.
So when I was in Tas, I actually had a craving for sweet and sour pork, and unfortunately the local Chinese restaurant, the China Cafe in Huonville, was closed. Their owners had gone back to China for a family issue. So tonight, first night in Yamba, or first night of eating from proper food, I went to the local Chinese, Yamba Chinese restaurant. I was going to order sweet and sour pork, but then I saw crispy pork with plum sauce. I actually like plum sauce better. But they've got an interesting definition of crispy pork, because it's basically pork skin in batter. Something which we would call pork crackling if it actually was crispy. Considering that this crispy pork and fried rice cost me something like $34. Don't think that's putting Yamba up there as #1 town in Australia. Ordinary. I mean, Yamba does have a lot of beaches, but they've all got people on them. Coming from Dover, I just can't understand why you'd want to be on a beach with more than one other person on it. Oh well. This is the main street, or the CBD of Yamba. There's a couple of restaurants, there's a brewing company, services. Mexican restaurant. From the bolo to the fisho, getting some lunch. Yamba is home to one of the largest commercial prawn fishing fleet in Australia, and obviously this is the home of the Yamba Fishermen's Cooperative. I might go inside, always a bit of a sucker for checking out seafood stores, and we'll see what it's like. It's that interesting thing here in northern New South Wales and northern Queensland that most of the yacht club racing happens on Wednesday afternoons. Sort of gives you an idea about the demographic, because some of us are actually working on Wednesday afternoons. So Yamba has a shopping centre, some government offices, although it doesn't seem like there'd be too many people receiving Centrelink around here, but you never know, maybe pensioners. And Yamba also has, if you can see in the distance, some of the most expensive fuel prices possibly on the eastern seaboard. I mean, that diesel price is 15 cents a litre more expensive than in Airlie Beach, and it's even 5 cents more expensive than the price in Huonville in Tasmania, which is, let's just say, is not renowned for being cheap. One thing that Dover has never had is a no alcohol zone, although maybe this sign sort of reflects that sort of laid back nature of Yamba, because apparently it's now 2023, so you can drink alcohol. Well, one thing the Dover Hotel doesn't have is a view like this. That's because the Dover Hotel burned down quite a few years ago. It did have a pretty good view though. This is the Pacific Hotel in Yamba. We're going to have a meal tonight, and we'll see if this is the best meal in the best town. It's the little things that give you the irrits. Hey!
Freak of nature, sees them all around the final bend of the 550 and hooks widest in the white jacket. So to Cito, down Corrigan dip of the 500 metres, held together for a magic moment, yet to show its hand.
So, those guys in room A, the one with the actual view, have been watching TV all day. It's now 7:45 at night, and it's a bit weird when you actually have to turn your own TV volume up so loud that louder than you otherwise would actually like, merely to drown out the sound of the TV from the room in front. One thing I can say about Yamba is that it's certainly very friendly. Certainly far more friendly than most places in northern Queensland that I've visited, and most other places in New South Wales. I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples. Just walking back from this beach here, past two people, they both didn't just nod or smile, but they said g'day and asked how I was going. When I walked into the Pacific Hotel the other night, wearing the Cardinal Fang shirt, some people called me over and actually wanted to have a talk about my shirt because they thought it was really cool. And just down from the Cove, in the other blocks of apartments there, I passed an old man having a chat to the postman, talking to him by name. So it certainly is one of the friendlier places on the mainland. I mean, I don't think it's very likely that if you said g'day to someone in the street of Yamba, they'd say, "Get fucked, mister. Take that, Mackay." And it's those little things that give you the irrits. So I've got to work from this desk today. Got a 2-hour online meeting coming up. And can you see any PowerPoint in the vicinity of this desk? No. Here I am walking through the Urigia National Park on the way to Angari Beach to try and find a beach with nobody on it. And I'm just revelling in the serenity of the noise of this beautiful national park. So, I think I might have found it. This is Angari Bay Beach. a beach with only 10 people on it. It's probably as close as you're actually going to get, I guess. So I remember in a previous video I mentioned that I hadn't actually included the concept of service in the pirate score, and I was thinking perhaps I probably should do so. In fact, that video is this one we're watching just here about the infamous Mission Reef Resort. And the same sort of thing is struck again here at the Cove. Here in the compendium, it says, here's the glasses, room servicing and linen. Your apartment will be serviced weekly if staying more than 7 nights as part of your letting. More frequent services can be arranged at an additional cost. Now the rack rate for this apartment here is about $210 a night. Now that's the rate that, I haven't checked the current booking.com price, but that's what I'm paying for it. And it says linen is provided for the number of recognised sleeping positions. Additional linen can be provided at additional cost. And then it says starter kits. All apartments are provided with the basic starters of tea, coffee, toilet paper, dishwashing liquid, washing powder, etc. It is your responsibility to provide your own when these supplies are used. Additional items can be purchased from reception. Well, that was the same sort of thing that was happening at the Mission Reef Resort, and to be honest, whereas I was raving this morning about the coffee, they actually only provided 4 pods, and I'm staying 5 nights. So yeah, I did what I was told, and I went out and purchased some additional pods. But then, I guess, if we go into the bathroom, now I'm unlikely to use that entire roll in 5 days, but if you had 3 people staying in here, you could well go close to using that. And then, for example, we've got the toiletries. Here, the shampoo. Now, I don't have a lot of hair, so I can get by with not a lot of shampoo, but again, I'm staying for 5 nights, and if I had, or I was perhaps someone with a large amount of long hair, that amount of shampoo simply would not be sufficient. And then I'd have to go and buy another entire bottle of shampoo, which if I was travelling, which I am, would inevitably have to throw away. So I think it's a little bit rude. I mean, it's bad enough that you have to stay here 7 days before you get the room cleaned, but for being expected to buy your own toilet paper and your own shampoo when you're already paying $210 a night to stay in here, I think is not particularly good enough. And I don't normally comment on the people in the establishments, and I don't shoot their faces or their images or anything like that. But I did mention the lady in reception this morning when I was asking about the laundry. Pleasant but disinterested. So I think this video will be the first one where I add an additional criterion to the pirate score, that is service. So the ranking will be marked out of 30, not 25. And if you really want to compare with the previous places, well, feel free to do the maths. Those of you who watched the Innisfail Black Marlin Motel episode would remember that I had a little bit of an issue with a tweed bait truck, and I'm here in Yamba and got an even bigger issue. So I walked a little bit further away from the actual gate down there because it looks like there's some people on site, and wasn't really keen on them overhearing what I'm going to tell you next, because tweed bait obviously catches bait from the wild, bait fish, bait prawns, and it looks like one of their bases is here in Yamba on the Clarence River. Now some of you may or some of you may not know that this is a declared biosecurity zone due to an outbreak of white spot virus. Probably introduced into the area by someone fishing with some imported prawns that they bought raw from the supermarket and decided to go fishing with. Those of you who don't know anything about white spot is like the bubonic plague of prawns, and it's now endemic in the waterways. And I'd be really concerned if Tweed Bait are actually still catching prawns, and this operation looks like it's still in operation. I mean, they may well be catching other fish, who knows. As the biggest risk is the people fishing with raw prawns infected with white spot. The fact that Tweed Bait is still operating, and I guess I have to be really careful here. And allegedly, I'm not saying they are catching prawns, they may well be catching something else, but it is a worry, and it doesn't look like anything has ceased operating here at their operations in Yamba on the Clarence River. You know, if this painting was of a beach in Tasmania, it wouldn't have any people on it. You gotta love New South Wales. They actually give you a warning that there's a mobile speed camera here. In fact, they give you 2 warnings, and then there's a big sign on top of the mobile speed camera which says your speed has been checked, and there's one thanking you afterwards. Just amazing. Doesn't happen in Queensland or Tasmania. Just coming up again to the speed camera, and I noticed that they don't give you a warning coming the other way. So unless it means the camera only works one way, or they only are nice to people leaving Yamba as opposed to people coming into Yamba. But anyway, that sign is a bloody good idea, and if that's peculiar just to Yamba, that's enough to rate it as the #1 best town in Australia. One of the things you notice as you drive through or around Yamba is these red and white signs saying "Stop the Fill," and there's quite a number of them on this intersection here. And apparently the protest is about the filling of floodplain further down this road here for new housing developments, and the risk of potentially, as the signs say, drowning the town. So it looks like this is what they're protesting about. You can see the earthworks behind piling up the dirt significantly higher than the road where I'm standing for this housing development. And this, I guess, is what it's going to look like. You can see these houses have been built way up above the level here, so maybe the residents further down, closer to the river, have a point. Then again, they did build their houses really close to the riverbank, which has been known to flood, and actually flooded really severely in early 2022. Tomorrow evening I'm going to the Yamba Seafood Festival, and first thing the following morning I'm checking out and returning back to Brisbane to drive to catch my flight back to North Queensland. So I thought tonight I'd do the pirate score.
Drink up me hearty Joe.
So first, cleanliness and upkeep. There's nothing really to comment on here at Cove. Everything is pretty good. Well done, well kept, clean. There was a crack in the basin in the bathroom, but apart from that, yeah, top effort. So well kept. So for cleanliness and upkeep, I'm giving it 4 stars. Facilities. It had a coffee machine. It had a coffee machine. But other than that, it was a bit inadequate. I mean, the fridge was there beside the bed. We actually had to move the bed to actually open the fridge door. The limited bench space, the table here with no access to PowerPoints when I had to work at my computer all day. But it had a coffee machine. So For facilities, 3 stars. Add-ons. Well, it had a pool, and it looked a really nice pool. There was someone swimming in the pool, and it had a restaurant next door. The restaurant wasn't part of the complex, but it was actually next door. And you got free access to the tennis courts, the barbecue, and other facilities at the Sands Resort with your access here to the Cove. But I later found that Sands Resort's actually 750 metres away, so it's not exactly convenient, something that you could easily just stroll next door to get to those add-ons. So that wasn't really that much of an incentive. But the biggest hassle was after now, tomorrow it'll be 14 days on the road, no laundry. And the indifference of the person at reception when I asked about the laundry, it was like the laundry really stuck me around. I've had to buy 1 pair of trousers and 2 shirts just to get me through, so without stinking through the rest of this week. So add-ons, 2 stars. Entertainment and Wi-Fi. Well, absolutely fantastic. There were not 2 or 3, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different streaming services available on this smart TV that was hooked up and connected to the Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi itself, as I said, working here a number of Teams and Zooms meetings over the week. Just absolutely seamless. Streaming for Netflix was brilliant. So for entertainment and Wi-Fi, 5 stars. And now for the new category. This is the first time we're going to use this category here on Shit Hotels in Australia, especially for the Cove, but also inspired a little bit by the Mission Reef Resort. Service. What service? I mean, you have to stay here 7 days before you get your room attended to. If you use up the provided coffee, toiletries, toilet paper, you're expected to go and buy your own. You're even expected to take your own rubbish and recycling down to the bins when you check out. I mean, come on, that's just simply not good enough. But there was one redeeming factor. One of the light globes here blew a globe on day 2, and I went down to reception on my way out to go to my presentation, and just casually said, almost as a bit of a test actually, that the light globe had blown. Got back that afternoon, the light globe had been replaced. So service does exist, but really, to the extent which service does exist, I can only give service 1 star. So finally, to the better than home bonus. Well, let's just say, I mean, you could tell from day 1, the fridge noise. Okay, we solved the noise of the cracking ice as it thawed and refroze by removing all the furniture, pulling the fridge out, unplugging it and defrosting it and putting it back in. But sadly that did not solve the noise of the fridge actually vibrating the whole bench top and sort of clunking every now and again. And then there's the noise from the people in the room next door watching TV for all the time that they're actually here on holiday. And finally, the noise from above, the constant clumping. Now, I actually thought, who is this elephant living above me making so much noise? Until I just realised that what we've got is plasterboard ceiling and a timber floor above. because this place hasn't been built like a proper set of units, and the person above is not an elephant. They're not thumping up and down. They're just walking from room to room in their unit. And the fact that you could actually hear them scraping their furniture as they moved it from one place to another seems to suggest that this place simply was not built as a strata unit place, let alone an accommodation place ought to be. So for the better than homes bonus, well, this is actually worse than home, so I probably should take points away. In fact, yeah, bugger it, I'm going to take points away. So I'm going to give this, for the better than home bonus, -2 stars. So that's a total for the Cove here in Yamba of 13 out of 30. So it's not exactly bustling, so it's about half the size of Dover Seafest with 1/3 of the people. Maybe there's one thing that Yamba's got that isn't full of people: the Seafood Festival. So it's a great time here at the Yamba Seafood Festival. Sort of top night, really nice way to finish off my visit to Yamba. Here's a little compilation of what the rest of the festival is like. Admittedly, this was only the Friday night. It's even bigger and better on Saturday.
Tears are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression.
So, what to conclude about Yamba? Lots of beaches, but they're all packed with people. The fuel prices are ridiculously high. There's a development controversy with the risk of being flooded out. Their demographic is definitely verging towards the geriatric. I mean, I feel quite young here. But it's got clubs, it's got restaurants, it's got access to shops, and it has a real community feel. A definite absence of wank factor. So what does it take to be number one? Well, on the same Australian Traveller rating sheet, Airlie Beach was rated 34, and I can tell you that Yamba feels 34 times better than Airlie Beach. But is it number one? I can say one thing: it's definitely not a number two. Hope you've enjoyed this video. A lot more about the town than about the accommodation. And if you like this sort of style, feel free to comment in the comments below. Otherwise, click like, click subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video when we'll see you somewhere in a shit hotel in Australia. Thanks for watching. I guess you could say that Yamba has the feel of I've got a little friend. Oh, take that one from the top. They sure do.